Brandon Phillips leads off, and Roy Halladay about ready to cash in on something he's waited for his entire career. And away we go on a bouncing ball to Jimmy Rollins. One pitch, one out. And that's a big part of the Roy Halladay story. It's one of the reasons he was able to finish 9 games this year.
And that's one of the reasons he finishes 9 games is early swings. Guys know if they get into deep counts with Roy Halladay, especially behind in the count, chances of getting on base are very slim. If they get a good pitch to hit early in the count, they'll be going after it, and this is an aggressive hitting Cincinnati team.
Here is Orlando Cabrera. Halladay is strike throwing machine, and also picks up a lot of swings and misses. The Reds strike out a lot, but they're going to count on guys like Cabrera and Scott Rowland and Ramon Hernandez for some postseason experience. Many of these Reds in the playoffs for the first time in their careers. Cabrera is another guy that puts the ball in play early, has a low walk total. But here's a guy who's been to the postseason with the Red Sox, won a World Series with Boston. And he has been to the postseason the last 4 years. The Angels, the White Sox, the Twins last year, and now the Reds.
Line drive type hitter, not a lot of power.
Didn't miss by much.
He'll take the ball the other way, and if he gets behind in the count, he'll certainly go to right field. And this one looked like it just missed. And looks like it may have not missed.
Well, Cabrera bothered by an injured oblique toward the end of the year. Back and healthy. Cincinnati Reds winners of the Central Division in the National League, a team that went 78 and 84 last year, but Dusty Baker now in his 3rd year skippering this Reds ball club. 91 wins this season, 91 and 71. They outlasted the Cardinals in the NL Central by 5 games.
Snapped a string of 9 straight seasons of losing records.
Last winning season for the Reds, 99. The last playoff appearance, 95. Long run for Victorino. 2 gone. League Division Series coverage on TBS is brought to you in HD by BMW, the ultimate driving machine. No stranger to postseason play here in Philadelphia. 4th consecutive playoff appearance for the Phillies. A World Series title in 08.
They finished the season on a string of 123 straight sellouts. And certainly packed in here today.
And high expectations in Philadelphia with this team this year. Joey Votto breaks his bat on the first offering from Halladay.
Joey Votto's a good low ball hitter. He likes to hit the ball to left center field. He's not just a dead pull hitter. An MVP candidate indeed. He hits the ball to all fields. How about these numbers? A 369 mark with runners in scoring position and huge numbers late in the game.
Votto bangs one out to Chase Utley. And a 1-2-3 start for Roy Halladay. Game 2 of our triple header of postseason baseball today saw the Rangers beat the Rays earlier today. Here's the lineup for Charlie Manuel's Phillies. Jimmy Rollins, the switch hitter, leads off. Shane Victorino right behind him, the center fielder. Batting 3rd, Chase Utley. And then it's Ryan Howard at first base with Jason Worth, the right fielder, followed by Raul Ibanez in left. Bottom of the order is Carlos Ruiz, Wilson Valdez starting for Placido Polanco, and Roy Halladay rounding it out against Edinson Volquez. Volquez making his first career postseason start.
26
numbers, Roy.
Sorry, Brian. 27 years old, 6 feet 210 out of the Dominican Republic. Came back from Tommy John surgery that was performed August 3rd of 2009.
In the air, shallow center as Rollins Flies out to Drew Stubbs.
Volquez finished 4-3 in 12 starts, but it was his work late in the season that really persuaded Dusty Baker to make him the starter for game 1. His last 4 starts, he went 1-1 with a 1.95 ERA and struck out 31 batters in 27 innings. And over that stretch, right-handers only hit 135 against him. When he gets ahead in the count on you, he pretty much puts you away. Only 1 hit on an 0-2 count this year in 12 starts.
Well, for most of the year, the Reds were without that lockdown ace. We talked about the aces of the Philadelphia Phillies with Halladay and Oswalt and Cole Hamels. But Volquez returns from the surgery, came back 11 months after the surgery. They weren't sure what they were going to get out of Edinson Volquez, but his elbow is intact and he is throwing like he did in 08 when he was a 17-game winner and an all-star for Dusty Baker. And suddenly Baker had his ace, and that's why he gets one in this LDS.
Well, he's got a great arm, and now that it's healthy, I mean, he's got a fastball in the mid-90s, and you can see his progression after he came back from the surgery, just drastically better in the last month.
Now, there's no question about his stuff. Volquez, some of the best stuff in the big leagues with the fastball, the breaking ball, has a great changeup. He actually can be as effective against left-handed hitters as he is against right-handers. Question is, what will his command be like coming back from the Tommy John ligament replacement surgery?
That's key for his game today. If he can spot his fastball again in the mid-90s, that last pitch to Victorino at 97. If he can work in and out with it, he's going to be mighty tough himself. His last start was way back on the 28th of September. So he's had a lot of rest. 6 innings against Houston.
7 days rest for Volquez as Victorino goes down the line, a fair ball. That will go to the wall. Victorino will settle for a double, the spark plug of this Phillies offense, added right away in the 2010 postseason.
He's been a tremendous postseason hitter for the Phillies and gets this one off to a great start, going the other way. Likes the ball up and away, but he got behind in the count and decided he'd go the other way with that pitch.
Victorino's 34th postseason hit. That's the most in franchise history. He was tied with Mike Schmidt until that double. And the Phillies with a man at second in scoring position for Chase Utley. Utley hit .275 during the regular year. 16 home runs, 65 runs batted in. A down year for Chase Utley, but an injury-plagued year as well. Utley was on the disabled list from the 29th of June till the 17th of August. Had surgery on his right thumb. The 65 RBIs, the lowest since 2004, and only 115 games this year. That's the down part of his season. The good news is that Utley is healthy, and he's swinging a hot bat down the stretch of the regular season leading into the postseason. Victorino takes off, throw from the knees. A stolen base and an excellent play by Rowan to save a run right there.
Sure was. Hernandez didn't bother to get to his feet, and he's got a good arm. He's thrown out 31% of base stealers this year. But Victorino, a walking lead, and the throw, a short hop. Rowan saved a run with that grab. So Victorino right away making things happen for this Phillies offense.
The agitator of this Philadelphia lineup. Phillies led the major leagues in stolen base percentage for the 4th straight season. 34 bags this year for Victorino. And a big steal early. Now the Phillies with a runner at third base and just one out. It forces the Reds infield in against Chase Utley.
One of the things the Phillies do to you offensively is that when they score first, they just keep adding on. Their record this year when they score first, 64-13. And they're trying to get on the board early here, and Dusty Baker's got his infield in to try to prevent that from happening. 3-0 changeup. I think he knew that Utley might be hacking there. Talk about their lineup and their injuries, Brian, and with Polanco and everybody else that's supposed to start on their ball club, they've only had that lineup together 16 games all season.
And this particular lineup with Wilson Valdez in there just twice this season. As Utley sends one to right. Jay Bruce, one of the best arms in baseball, but Victorino very fast. And the throw to the plate, Victorino scores, and the Phillies strike first on a sacrifice fly at an RBI from Chase Utley.
Jay Bruce gave a great effort here, a nice one-hop throw, but Victorino just too fast. And there is the first run on the board, and it's for the Phillies, and that's where they're most dangerous. Scoring early and getting on top of you and then leaving it to their staff.
Now the book on Volquez for an opposition is to get to him early, and the Phillies have. You always want to get to a starter early, but with a pitcher with this kind of electric stuff, as he gets in a groove, as he settles in this game, he is going to become tougher and tougher to hit if he ever gets there against these Phillies.
And once he gets over the jitters too of this first postseason appearance for him. And we saw there the shift put on for Ryan Howard.
Got in on the hands of Howard.
I think it's just going to be a very interesting series, Brian, from this standpoint. Because of the pitching for both sides, this could be a very low-scoring series, as it was when they had a 4-game series right after the All-Star break. Or with the firepower both teams have, it might be high-scoring, because these are small ballparks and they've got a lot of power in both lineups.
Now the Phillies won 5 out of 7 from Cincinnati this year. 4 of the 7 games were extra inning games. Philadelphia swept the Reds in this ballpark this season. As Howard lifts one in the air. Johnny Gomes coming in, and he makes a catch to end the inning. But the Philadelphia Phillies strike first, an RBI from Utley, and it's 1-0 as we go to the second.
Welcome back to Philadelphia, where the Phillies have taken a 1-0 lead in game 1 of this division series. I'm David Aldrich. Now, a lot of people outside of Cincinnati may not have seen the Reds a lot this year, as they made the playoffs for the first time since 1995. But this is a team that was built primarily through the draft. Obviously, Joey Votto is well known. He got drafted first in 2002. But since then, pitchers Travis Wood and Homer Bailey, outfielders Jay Bruce and Drew Stubbs, phenom pitcher Mike Leake were all taken in the Reds organization, and all since 2004. GM Walt Jocketty said he had to change the culture of this team that hadn't been in the postseason in 15 years. Bruce said that he didn't really want to criticize former teammates, but he acknowledged Jocketty may have had a point. He told me yesterday it was almost like we were going out to play not to lose instead of playing to win. Brian?
All right, David, thank you. And Walt Jocketty has put the pieces back together. And David talked about the draft, Joe, but he's also brought in some of his former employees from the St. Louis Cardinals, like the man at the plate, Scott Rowland, who has been a big part of this resurgence this year. It was kind of a quiet trade last year from the Toronto Blue Jays. It went under the radar, but how good has Rowland been for the Reds this season?
Well, it was a deal that raised a lot of eyebrows because of the cash that was going to be needed to take care of Scott Rowland's contract, and the fact that he had been often injured. He was traded for Edwin Encarnacion. But Scott Rowland's a 7-time Gold Glove winner, and he's been to the postseason. He's a real gamer in every sense of the word, and he was a kind of presence that this ball club needed in their locker room too. He is a great leader by example, if no other way.
Rolen, the former Philly, gets roundly booed every time he's introduced here in Philadelphia as Halladay strikes him out.
Change up and a beauty. Boy, just dropped it right on the back part of the plate there. And Rolen out in front. Outstanding.
MLB postseason in Espanol. Live MLB postseason Spanish language feed available via SAP, the SAP button. Johnny Gomes for the Reds. Halladay has retired the first 4, his first strikeout on Rolen. And the free swinging Johnny Gomes at the plate.
Expect to see a lot of first pitch strikes from Halladay. That makes the hitters at least a little less aggressive in terms of sitting on his fastball. It allows him to mix in his changeup and cutter. There's a cutter, and it's a beauty. Throws it hard, sometimes around 90, 88 to 90.
Now this is the part of the batting order for Roy Halladay where he can rack up the strikeouts with Gomes and Bruce and Drew Stubbs. Got it on his hands, a bouncer to Valdez. 2 outs. All right, Joe, tonight's language of the game is brought to you by Foster's, and tonight we're talking Roy Halladay's strikeout to walk ratio.
It's incredible when you look at the next closest guy, and that's Josh Johnson of the Marlins. His was 3.88 strikeouts to every walk, and Roy Halladay's was twice that. Amazing.
Jay Bruce. Speaking of built from the farm system, here is one of the prize prospects from the Cincinnati minor league system. Jay Bruce, former first-round draft pick, and a bouncer out to Chase Utley. And Roy Halladay picking him up and putting him down. 6 up, 6 down as we head to the bottom of the second. Back in South Philly at Citizens Bank Park, we head to the bottom of the second inning, and Jason Worth ready to lead off for the Phillies. Edinson Volquez surviving the first inning, giving up a run. It was Shane Victorino with a 1-out double. He stole third, then scored on a sac fly. So the Phillies manufacturing a run in that first inning, which is something that they might need to do here tonight. Volquez not a guy who gives up many home runs. But it is going to be interesting to see how this series plays out in these 2 ballparks. The Phillies and the Reds both play in ballparks that are hitter friendly. Although you'd never know it by the numbers the Philadelphia starting pitchers have posted this year.
Here's a guy that likes hitting in this ballpark. Jason Worth. That left field porch is tailor-made for him, but he's got power to all fields, likes the ball up, out away from him a little bit. You can tie him up inside, but you better go way inside.
Worth, the National League leader in doubles this year, leans out over one, and a foul ball. Now Worth will be in the news a great deal once this postseason is over. He'll be one of the hottest commodities on the free agent market this year. Jason Worth, a free agent after a 27 home run, 85 RBI season, and a doubles machine.
That surprises me. I didn't know that he had that many hits with 2 strikes. Certainly didn't know he led the league. But because of his long arms, he can reach a lot of bad pitches if he commits to them. Saw Hernandez with a high target there, hoping he would chase something up and out of the zone, but Volquez didn't get it up high enough, and he fouled it off.
Now a few raindrops falling here. And a 1-2 misses upstairs. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Jason Worth. Worth, Ibanez, and Ruiz in the Philadelphia second inning.
That looked like a pretty good pitch. Worth may have ducked that one.
as much as a guy who's 6'6" can duck a pitch.
Yeah.
And a long battle here between Jason Worth and Edinson Volquez.
I think that last pitch is what pulled Hernandez out from behind the plate. Target that was low and away, and that's the area you're asking for trouble with Worth, where he can extend his arms. Again, you can go up, but you got to go up and in and tie him up.
Reds pitching coach Brian Price has done a good job with the Cincinnati staff. A lot of young arms in this Cincinnati starting rotation. The Reds are going to go with Volquez and follow him up with Bronson Arroyo on Friday. Game 3 in Cincinnati will belong to Johnny Cueto. So as the Phillies roll out Halladay and Oswalt and Hamels, the Reds have plenty of experience in Arroyo and a first-timer in Cueto. Scott Rowland showing that gold glove form once again at third base. Takes care of Worth. And tonight's stadium perspective footage is courtesy of Sony PlayStation's MLB 10 The Show. The short porch in left and the alleys, the angle in left center field, with that wall height going from a little over 12 feet up to 19 feet. And then the short porch in center field, or short wall, only 6 feet high. But if you can squeeze them to the middle, you got a chance here at Citizens Bank Park. But down the lines and in the alleys, that's where you can run into trouble for a pitcher. Not much of a power alley to speak of in this ballpark.
No, and really it's right behind Gomes out there in left field. It's about 360 feet to straightaway left field, and that's extremely short for that part of the ballpark. Volquez made a good pitch up and in on Worth to get him to ground out. May have even broken his bat. Located that pitch nicely.
Raul Ibanez with one away. A good fastball from Volquez. Ibanez on a late season surge this year. Last year it was his first half that put him in the headlines in his first year as a Philly. But he's done most of his damage this year after the All-Star break, totaling 16 home runs and 83 driven in this season.
Good fastball hitter. Got to mix him up on him. You'll hit the ball from line to line, especially on the fastball. 3 for 9 against Volquez, as you see. Some good numbers. But this part of their order, Brian, is the part that I think separates Cincinnati, or excuse me, Philadelphia from most teams. They've got power. They've got guys with high averages. There are no weak spots in their order, even once you get past Worth.
Ibanez now 38 years of age. Been a big run producer in his major league career. 4 times he's driven in 100. Full count to Ibanez. And that one is banged into right field. Bruce right there for it. For out number 2.
One thing you're surely to see in this series is good defense. The Reds tied with the Padres for the fewest errors in the National League with 72. That was tops in the league. Phillies only made 83, as Brian told you earlier. They're not going to beat themselves, and certainly when you're playing these two teams, because they're such good offensive ball clubs, you can't afford to give them extra outs.
Well, just 72 errors, franchise record. The Reds tied with the Padres for the fewest errors this year, and that .988 fielding percentage. They have a Gold Glove infield, the Reds. Scott Rowland, 7 Gold Gloves. You've got Gold Glovers up the middle in Cabrera and Phillips. And while Joey Votto does not own a Gold Glove yet, he might have a shot at one this year. Seems like the offensive numbers kind of lead to a few Gold Gloves every now and then, but yeah, Votto is an excellent defender in his own right.
Sometimes that's warranted, sometimes it's not. In Joey Votto's case, he's worked real hard to make himself a very good first baseman. Much improved over his rookie season.
2 outs for Carlos Ruiz. Coming off a career year at the plate. A .302 hitter this year, Ruiz. and one of the most clutch Philly hitters. In a lineup full of stars offensively, it has been Ruiz, who's put up big numbers in the postseason in his career. A .303 career postseason batting average. That covers 32 games. And a guy who gets on a ton. And the first walk issued by Edinson Volquez. A 2-out walk in the second inning.
And that brings up the team MVP. At least according to Charlie Manuel, he's talking about Wilson Valdez. He doesn't know where the Phillies would be without him because of all the injuries to their infielders.
Charlie Manuel without Placido Polanco here tonight. Polanco has been dealing with an elbow problem, and tonight though he is out of the lineup because of pain in the middle of his back. Tried to give it a go today, but had to break the news to the skipper that he was not available. And Charlie Manuel very pleased to have a suitable backup in Wilson Valdez, who has played a ton this year. 111 games he played as a backup infielder.
He did hit 4 home runs, but he's mostly a line drive guy. He'll try to hit behind runners, hit the ball to right field, take advantage perhaps here of the hole over on the right side. But an excellent defender with an outstanding throwing arm.
Well, in a season where the Phillies had some of their stars on the disabled list around the infield, with Chase Utley and the thumb surgery, Jimmy Rollins missed a good part of the early schedule with a calf injury. Rollins lately has been nursing a hamstring problem. And of course Placido Polanco with the elbow injury and now the back. It's been Valdez getting most of the playing time. Nice play, Cabrera, and tried to do too much. Cabrera tried to shovel it over to Brandon Phillips, and everybody's safe, and the Phillies with 2 on and Halladay coming up.
I'm sure Cabrera felt like he didn't have much of a play at first base with Valdez running, but truth is he had a better opportunity for an out at first than he had here at second base because he couldn't get the ball out of his glove. And the silver lining, if there is one, is that the pitcher's up, and it'll be an infield hit.
Well, if nothing else, the Phillies clear that pitcher spot in Halladay, and it keeps the inning going as Volquez is racking up a number of pitches in this second inning.
Brian, that's something that they do well, is turn the batting order over. It'll seem like Rollins and Victorino are batting just about every inning because of the bottom part of the order and how effective they are at getting on base.
22 pitches for Volquez here in the second, facing Roy Halladay. And Halladay lines one to left. Gomes cannot make the play. Ruiz will score. Valdez in the third. And it's Roy Halladay who delivers a big base hit. The Phillies up 2-0.
We could spend 9 innings talking about what a great pitcher Roy Halladay is. We don't have to spend much time talking about what a great hitter he is, but he did drive in 5 runs during the year and had 13 hits. And Gomes went for the catch, couldn't come up with it, and Ruiz scored easily.
And the Reds very fortunate that ball did not get by Gomes, as Halladay delivers a base hit, jumping on Volquez early.
Yeah, he ambushed that first pitch.
That reminds me of the Brett Myers at bat against CC Sabathia in 08 in the postseason here in Philadelphia, when it looked like the pitcher was coming up, the inning was going to end, but all of a sudden Myers delivered with a walk.
About a 12 pitch at bat too, wasn't it? Something like that.
And it really sparked the Phillies. It was Victorino who hit the grand slam against CC Sabathia that got the Phillies going that year in 08 against Milwaukee. Now first and third, top of the order. Here's Rollins.
Only 4 out of 10 first pitch strikes for Volquez. And again, that was a key tonight, would be how effective he was with his command, how quickly he could get ahead in the count.
Well, he is on the brink right now, Volquez. Dusty Baker, knowing how important game 1 of a best-of-5 series is, already has bullpen activity. And the rookie left-hander Travis Wood had a nervous pitching coach in Brian Price. Hitters count to Jimmy Rollins. 3-0.
Several of these hitters for the Phillies invite you to pitch them inside. When you get our shot from center field, you'll see Jimmy Rollins right up on top of the plate. Likewise, Victorino and Utley. They're inviting you to pitch them in. And even when you throw a ball to the outside corner, it's like almost like down the middle to them.
See if he green lights. 3-0. He takes a strike. And you see Volquez just doing all he can to pitch inside to Jimmy Rollins. He's not missing by much. John Hirschbeck, the home plate umpire. At this point, a hitter's strike zone. That one's in there. 3-2.
Rollins didn't like this call, but John Hirschbeck got that one right. And he's a good ball and strike ump.
You know, it doesn't look like Volquez is having major control issues. He's just missing by a little. It's a big pitch for him here in the second inning. 1st and 3rd with 2 away.
Rollins hit just .218 left-handed this year, and when he did come back after sitting out with that hamstring injury, his bat was a little slow to follow. He only played in about 8 or 9 games after right there at the end of the season, and quite frankly, with the exception of a grand slam he hit in Atlanta, hasn't been swinging the bat too well, rolling over the top of a lot of pitches.
Pitch number 30 of the inning for Volquez. And Rollins stays alive. Getting into the danger zone, especially for a guy who has a surgically repaired elbow. You start getting into the 30-plus pitch count in a single inning.
And the next pitch will be number 48 already for the game.
Exactly what the Phillies wanted to do to Volquez today. Another 3-2, and Rollins takes ball 4, and he'll have to start all over against Shane Victorino, and it's close to decision time for Dusty Baker.
Well, all of this started with 2 out and nobody on when he walked Ruiz. And then even with the infield hit by Valdez, you figured that the inning might still be a short one by retiring the pitcher. When that didn't happen, then all of a sudden it got a little antsy in the Cincinnati dugout.
We saw Brian Price, the pitching coach, tell Dusty Baker he's ready. Travis Wood is ready in the bullpen. But Baker's going to let it ride, or maybe he needs a few minutes to think about it, and he sends his shortstop out to chat with Volquez. So you want to manage in the big leagues, huh?
Yeah, boy.
That is a tough call early for Dusty Baker.
Well, you got a tough call here, first pitch, too. You want to get ahead of Victorino, but he likes that first pitch, especially if it's a fastball. And they went with the breaking ball as a result.
Look at these numbers, 367 with bases loaded. 2 grand slams, had that grand slam against CC Sabathia in 2008. He has had a knack for the dramatic in the postseason, has Shane Victorino. In the first inning, he doubled down the left field line on a pretty good pitch. Immediately stole third and then scored on a sac fly. Two and oh.
Good velocity, mid-90s. But as you said, Brian, he's just missing and pitching behind in the count with runners in scoring position in this ballpark against the Phillies is not where you want to be.
Well, you'd have to think if Volquez does not retire Victorino, Baker will make the call to the pen. 2-0 the count, bases loaded in the second inning. And a strike.
I'll give him credit there. That was a 2-0 changeup that Victorino certainly wasn't looking for. Good pitch.
Threw a 3-0 changeup to Rollins. Gives you an idea of what his most comfortable pitch is right now. Victorino with 1 grand slam this year. That came against Johan Santana of the Mets during the regular season. Had a good cut. Count evens at 2-2.
Well, there's only 1 run across for the Phillies this inning. This is a huge at bat and maybe a deciding at bat in the outcome of this ball game too, right here, and we're only in the second. Difference between doing some damage control if you're Volquez and having a big inning if you're the Phillies.
Just missed on a 97-mile-an-hour fastball, and now the wheels will be in motion. The crowd on its feet as the fire is burning major hot for the Phillies in the second inning. It's tough on outfielders on fly balls with the white hankies out. Runners go, and a swing and a foul.
That would look like ball 4. Target was away, but the pitch was way inside. And if there is a pitch that Victorino will chase, it's that batting left-handed. It's that back foot breaking ball where he'll chase it right down and in on his shoe tops.
Stays alive. Roy Volquez in a grind here against the Phillies. 55 pitches already. Halladay has retired 6 in a row to start this game, just 22 pitches, and it was Halladay's RBI single that gave the Phillies a 2-0 lead.
One breaking ball fastball. Got away with a fastball away there that he fouled off. Again, Victorino, a good fastball hitter.
Pitch number 39 of the inning. Runners go. Victorino into center field. That'll fall, a base hit. 1 run is in. Halladay right behind him. Victorino delivers a 2 RBI single, and the Phillies have a 4-0 lead. And that is going to do it for Edinson Volquez.
Shane Victorino has 24 RBIs in 33 postseason games. Pitch that wasn't even a strike running away from him, but he got enough of it and just dumped it out into center field for 2 more.
Volquez will have to wait for another day. A pitching change early. The Phillies 4-0. We'll set up the new hurler when we come back. So Volquez is out, and worst case scenario for the Cincinnati Reds as the Phillies chase the Cincinnati starter. An inning and 2/3. He was a pitch away from getting out of the inning, but now Travis Wood, a rookie left-hander who has had some success against Philadelphia this year, enters this game in the rain with 2 outs, and Chase Utley coming up.
This guy took a perfect game into the 9th inning against the Phillies earlier this year. And there were a lot of people that thought maybe because he's left-handed, he should start game one against this left-handed dominated lineup for the Phils. Well, he didn't start, but he's in here in the second inning.
Travis Wood has been in the starting rotation for the Reds. Dusty Baker wanting to put 4 lefties in the bullpen. And Wood gets the early call here today as he faces Chase Utley. 2 on. 3 runs are in for Philadelphia. RBIs from Halladay. And 2 runs batted in from Shane Victorino. In a long 2-out, 2-strike battle with Volquez. 5 consecutive base runners after 2 outs in this inning.
Fastball, cutters, also a slider. Fastball from 89 to 93.
Rain coming down heavily now as Wood hits the corner. Now we're being told this rain, this current cell, I know you're a part-time weatherman, Joe, but it's only going to be here for a half an hour. And then it's going to pass, so they'll try to play through it here. No problem for Phillies fans. They know all about rough weather in October for postseason play. Bouncing ball to Phillips. And the nightmare second for the Reds ends as the Phillies put 3 on the board, all with 2 outs. Started by Halladay. And it's 4-0 Philadelphia as we go to the 3rd inning. Well, that's a good sign. There's a rainbow. That means there's sun somewhere in Philadelphia. And a pot of gold for the Phillies in the bottom of the 2nd inning with 3 runs on 3 hits, chasing Edinson Volquez. And now the task for the Reds to try to figure out Roy Halladay. He's retired the first 6, has a strikeout. Took him just 22 pitches to get through the first 2 innings. And he's already ahead of Drew Stubbs, 0-2. In the infield, who wants it? It'll be Valdez and Howard come together, and the much taller Ryan Howard makes a catch for out number 1.
If that was going to be a jump ball, I think Ryan Howard would win just about every time. All he had to do is just reach up, and he's going to get closer to it than Valdez. But even after the bump, Valdez lost that collision too.
It's the only sport where a world-class athlete standing on the mound is not allowed to catch a pop-up.
He's a pitcher.
Oh, that's right. He's not necessarily an athlete.
There you go.
Coming from an outfielder. Now Halladay with 1 away here in the 3rd inning. And looking for the shutdown inning after the Phillies put 3 on the board. And there's strike 1 again. He is now 8 for 8 in first pitch strikes.
And a lot easier to throw first pitch strikes when you're up 4-0.
Ramon Hernandez, talented Cincinnati catcher. He's got some postseason experience.
It's going to be a tough road for the Reds hitters, but again, this is an outstanding offense and a very good come from behind team and a quick strike team. But they got to have some base runners.
That is a fair ball, and Ruiz makes the play on Hernandez. Say catch all the action of the 2010 Major League Baseball Division Series on TBS. Game 2 of a triple header today. Started with the Tampa Bay Rays hosting the Texas Rangers, and the man who made his postseason debut here last year, Cliff Lee, picking up the win for the Texas Rangers. 10 strikeouts for Cliff Lee today. And Texas strikes first, their first postseason win since 1996. In their first postseason since 1999. Cliff Lee went 7 innings, just 1 run, struck out 10. David Price with 6 2/3 today. They gave up 9 hits and 5 runs. Driven into right field. Worth right there. So Travis Wood, the Cincinnati pitcher, has the best bolt of the night so far. But it's another 1-2-3 inning for Big Roy. Game 1 of the NLDS. Phillies and the Reds. Roy Halladay has retired the first 9 on the mound for the Phillies. Meanwhile, offensively, Philadelphia with 3 in the second after scoring a run in the first. 4-0. Ryan Howard leads off against the young lefty, the rookie Travis Wood. Edinson Volquez goes an inning and 2/3.
You were talking about Cliff Lee a minute ago. This guy's from Arkansas, Travis Wood, and you say he works out with Travis Lee somehow in the wintertime.
Yeah, they're good buds in Arkansas, live close to each other as Wood strikes out Ryan Howard.
Well, he was the Southern League Pitcher of the Year last year, at an ERA under 2, and the Reds Minor League Pitcher of the Year. Not overpowering, but good control. Again, fastball, cutter, and a slider.
23 years of age, from Alexander, Arkansas. Former second rounder of the Cincinnati Reds. He was in that 2005 draft. And he's getting his turn in the spotlight here, trying to settle this game down for Cincinnati.
.5'11", 165 pounds.
I think the 5'11's a little bit generous.
One thing's for sure, he's come in throwing strikes.
Jason Worth had the key at bat in that second inning, even though he was put out on a ground out. It was a 9-pitch at bat for Jason Worth, kind of set up the rest of the inning. Volquez retired the first 2 hitters and then could not get out of the inning. 5 consecutive base runners, 2 walks and 3 hits as Wood rings up Jason Worth. Back-to-back strikeouts here in the third.
One of his favorite pitches is a backdoor cutter. That one came across the heart of the plate. But if you give up on a pitch away a little bit that you think is going to stay outside, you're going to pay the price. Worth did there.
Well, Travis Wood and Mike Leake, the 2 rookie pitchers for Dusty Baker this year. Mike Leake has a shoulder injury and he is not on the postseason roster, but in the first half it was Mike Leake who was a big surprise in the Cincinnati rotation and a big reason why the Reds were able to stay in the race in the National League Central. In the second half of the season, it was Travis Wood. And the 23-year-old Wood against the 38-year-old Ibanez with 2 away. It's a pretty tight strike zone tonight from crew chief John Hirschbeck. That one's hit well. Back is Bruce, over his head. It bounces off the wall. Ibanez is going to challenge him here. And the throw is late. That's a double for Ibanez. And more 2-out trouble for the Cincinnati Reds.
Ibanez getting up there in years, but man, can he hit, especially the fastball again. And it was about location. Hernandez was set up outside the outside corner. That pitch had the middle of the plate. And with Bruce's arm, he knew he had to turn it on a little bit and made it in there easily. But he can still hit.
Now Cincinnati will pitch around Ruiz to face Wilson Valdez. Base runners are usually what you try to avoid in this ballpark with so much home run clout in both of these lineups. But Dusty Baker is going to take his chances with Wilson Valdez as opposed to Carlos Ruiz, who had the key walk in that second inning that sparked the 2-out rally.
Ruiz is so good with runners in scoring position, and especially with 2 out in that situation. Ibanez, though, back to him real quick. He had the real good first half last year, and then a bad second half and a bad first half this year, to the point where the Phillies thought, well, you know what, he may be used up. It was basically a whole year of poor hitting by Raul, and he got it turned around the second half, and he's still hot.
And give credit to Charlie Manuel for sticking with him. And it's Ibanez 2-out double that has Travis Wood in trouble here in the 3rd inning. Wilson Valdez, an infield hit in the 2nd, and that one's into right center field. Stubbs makes the play, and the inning is over. So a scoreless inning, the first of the game for the Reds. A small success. Cincinnati coming up. Halladay, 9 in a row, retired. It's a good thing we rehearsed that.
Yes.
I thought that went well.
Excellent.
Roy Halladay back on the mound.
Timing's everything.
Top of the Reds order with Brandon Phillips, Orlando Cabrera, then Joey Votto. Phillips swung at the first pitch in the 1st inning, bounced out to short. Most of the outs on the ground against Halladay so far. Only 3 outs in the air at this point. Has just 1 strikeout that came against Roland, and that didn't miss by much.
Well, there's nothing you like better if you're the Cincinnati Reds than the fact that you're already down 4. Halladay set down the first 9, and it's raining, and you're trying to keep your hands dry, as if you didn't have enough to battle.
And if you're Brooke Jacoby, the Cincinnati hitting coach, the game plan to get back in this game is what?
Well, the game plan is to try to get this guy to make a mistake or two so you can get some base runners. You need a base runner so that you might get somebody to get you right back in the game quickly.
Well, that hit Phillips, I believe, or they're going to call it a foul ball. Caught a piece of the bat. So a foul ball.
Yeah. Close, though. Almost got him.
Brandon Phillips missed a good part of the season. He was hit by a big fastball, had a hand injury, suffered that injury in San Francisco this year, as Halladay strikes him out. A called strike 3, the 2nd K for Roy Halladay.
Fastball tailing back. Looks like Phillips gave up on it, thinking it was high. But 10 for 10 in first pitch strikes. He is dictating to every hitter that comes up there.
Well, last year the Phillies had Cliff Lee starting game 1, making his first postseason appearance. This year it's Roy Halladay, and Halladay is rolling along a lot like Cliff Lee did last year. Lee went the distance against the Colorado Rockies in game 1 of the LDS last year. And a series that the Phillies would win in 4 games on their way to the World Series. 0-2 on Cabrera. Man, oh man. Roy Halladay locked and loaded here early. His 3rd strikeout.
Brian, I know it's been a few days since he pitched, and this is the 9th day. But folks around the Phillies camp said that in his last start against Washington, it's his last start of the year, and he still pitched a complete game, went 9 innings. And they had already clinched the division title. A 2-hit shutout against Washington, no walk, 6 strikeouts, and everybody said it might have been the best game he pitched all year outside the perfect game.
Had the perfect game against the Marlins in Miami at the end of May. As if Halladay was just dialing it up for the postseason in his final regular season start. Joey Votto. That gives you an idea of the stuff of Halladay. Votto's a good fastball hitter. And he's late on a 91-mile-an-hour fastball.
And he was the first time up, too. Remember, he broke his bat on the first swing and then jammed him on a ground ball to second. He's trying to tie him up inside. Let's see if they stay in there.
On the ground. Long throw from Rollins, and it is a good one. A cannon from Jimmy Rollins. A 1-2-3 inning. Halladay continues to deal. We head to the bottom of the fourth. Back in Philadelphia, Citizens Bank Park. Game one of the NLDS, Phillies and the Reds, and Roy Halladay had a big ovation when he was announced to lead off this fourth inning, as well as he's pitching, having retired the first 12 in this game. Halladay's base hit really opened it up in the second inning for Philadelphia. An RBI single from Roy Halladay gave the Phillies a 2-0 lead, and Bugs Bunny would be proud, and he kind of has the Bugs Bunny swing and miss changeup going, does Roy Halladay.
Sure does.
On the run is Bruce, and he's got it in foul territory. And we're pleased to be joined now by Red skipper Dusty Baker. And Dusty, the obvious question, how do you guys get back in against Roy Halladay, who looks like he's on his A game at this point?
Well, he's definitely on his A game, and the thing he has going, he's throwing quality strikes. Strike one, he's getting ahead of guys. Look like he has great movement tonight. Main thing, we just got to string together some hits, and you know, we might have to start attacking him early in the count, because right now it's not working what we're doing.
Hey Dusty, I know we talked about this earlier today about if Volquez didn't have his good stuff and had to come out early, you had Wood ready to go. Well, you have that scenario. How many innings would you like to get out of him?
Well, yeah, you know, we're going to take him as far as we can until possibly you know, we have to hit for him. And you know, the thing about it, Volke had his good stuff, he just didn't have his good location. And you know what, the hit that hurt was a 2-out RBI by Doc Holliday, you know, who's usually doesn't get many hits, and then the big hit by Victorino, you know, the blooper in there. So, you know, he had good stuff, he just didn't have his location, and that hit by Doc Holliday really hurt.
And our thanks to the Red skipper Dusty Baker for giving us a little bit of time, and a tough decision for Dusty Baker, as Edinson Volquez was so close to getting out of that second inning. And all of that damage done with 2 away. 4-0 in this ballpark typically doesn't look like much. Runs can be easy to come by, but with Roy Halladay on the mound, it looks like a mountain at this point for Cincinnati.
It looks that way, but you're right, Brian. The way the ball jumps out of this ballpark, and there's not a lot of wind tonight to knock anything down that might be headed for the seats. You're still in this ball game, and the Reds, I think Dusty's right. I think you got to be a little more aggressive on that first pitch strike that he's throwing so often. He's 10 out of 11 out of 12 now in that category, especially if you get a good fastball to hit.
Well, Travis Wood posted the first scoreless inning of the game for Cincinnati. Had a couple of strikeouts in the third inning. Gave up a double to Ibanez, then an intentional walk. Faces Jimmy Rollins, batting for the third time already. That one's hit well, left center field. Drew Stubbs near the wall will run it down for out number 2. Well, we're keeping an eye on Jimmy Rollins tonight. He has the hamstring tightness. Came back at the end of the year. Said he's okay. Said he's 100%, but he hasn't really had an opportunity to unleash and to do a lot of running. But that'll certainly be a big question for Charlie Manuel as this series and this postseason continues for Philadelphia.
Well, he's a vital part of their offense, especially with the running game. And we noticed something on the base hit by Victorino. Now this was a 3-2 count, and Rollins is running from first, and he's not really sprinting, but this little ball dunked in there, and that's normally a pitch that or a swing that he usually goes first to third easily on, and he only made it to second base on a full count with 2 out. I think that gave us a pretty good indication that he's far from 100% running wise. That
might be something to pay attention to. With that said, we asked Charlie Manuel about his health status, because the decision to put him in the leadoff spot in the batting order depends on Jimmy Rollins' ability and willingness to run. I mean, speed is part of his game. The Phillies are already without Placido Polanco. Not sure how long he's going to be out. The day off tomorrow will certainly help the Phillies in that regard. But they're already a man down in their infield.
Everybody understood how and why Charlie Manuel chose the longer series, the 8-day series, because of his 3 aces. He could use them and no one else if need be if he went to a game 5. But it also was an advantage for Dusty Baker in his bullpen. If he had to use some guys, say go to his bullpen in the 5th inning or 6th inning and use some guys, well, then they would get a day off for his bullpen too. What he hadn't counted on was having to go to the bullpen in the 2nd.
Victorino skies one out to Stubbs. And a 1-2-3 inning for Travis Wood. He has settled this game down for the Reds. Cincinnati coming to bat against Halladay. Sellout crowd at Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia. Scott Rowland leads off against Roy Halladay. Halladay 4 no-hit innings. He has 3 strikeouts, punched out 2 in the 4th inning. His first strikeout was Scott Rowland.
Just great movement on everything tonight. I'd say that he was really ready and jacked up for this first postseason appearance. He's waited a long time.
Big cut and a miss. Well, Halladay has thrown 46 pitches at this point, only 8 out of the strike zone, 38 for strikes. And getting a lot of swings and misses as Rowland lays off. "11 years, Roy Halladay, before he makes his first postseason start here tonight. 320 major league starts under his belt, and a long time coming. And Joe, you said he's ready, and he looks every bit ready tonight as he backdoors Scott Rowland, the comeback sinker. And another strikeout for Halladay. That's number 4. We're pleased to be joined now by Rich Doobie, the pitching coach of the Phillies. And Rich, Roy Halladay looks like he's on his game tonight. Give us your take from your seat.
Well, he's been commanding everything very well so far, and hopefully that will continue. But we got him a little cushion, and you know, he's pretty good when he gets a lead. So again, he'll continue to pound the strike zone and see where we can get.
Rich, this is Joe, and outside of the perfect game down in Florida, I was told his last start against Washington, the complete game 2-hitter, may have been the best game he pitched all year leading into this.
Well, he's had a lot of good ones, but the game in Washington was very good. I think getting a little extra rest and us getting close to getting in these playoffs has done a lot for him, and he seems pretty fresh right now.
As Rich Doobie, Philadelphia pitching coach, we appreciate his time between innings, and they're on their feet again as Halladay has Gomes in an 0-2 count. Number 5 for Halladay.
14 in a row he has set down. Here are the last 2 strikeouts. The one that Scott Rowland thought was outside, that did try to come back and was off the plate. He had reason to be upset, and then Gomes chasing a bad ball, and that's exactly where Ruiz wanted it. He wanted it to bounce up there.
Well, you heard Dusty Baker last inning say he'd like to see his hitters try to jump on Halladay a little earlier. Try not to get down in the count. But Halladay, so smart, has countered. Some changeup, split fingers, first pitch.
Well, I give Ruiz a lot of credit for that too, Brian, because he's recognizing that the Reds are trying to get out on him in the early part of the count. So he's mixing it up.
Well, the first goal for Cincinnati is to get Roy Halladay in the stretch. He's been pitching out of the windup this entire game.
Good breaking ball there. He hasn't thrown a lot of them, but that was a beauty. And a 3-ball count. That ball went down. It didn't come back. He was trying to throw that backup fastball, and it didn't.
3-2 pitch. And Bruce lays off. So the first base runner for Cincinnati comes with 2 outs in the 5th inning as Jay Bruce draws the walk. And now the Reds with their powerful lineup, hoping for a quick strike here with 2 outs.
Yeah, the bottom of their lineup is no slouch either, with Bruce, Stubbs, and Hernandez. Stubbs had a great finish to his season. Hit .350 over his last 24 games and raised his average 18 points. He was a guy that at the beginning of the year I thought Brian was, I mean, you just spin the ball and he'd chase, set up to hit fastballs and pull everything. But with the help of Brooks Jacoby, their hitting coach, and Dusty Baker, he's started to hit the ball with some authority to the opposite field, and it's really helped him.
22 home runs during the regular season, and that goes along with 30 stolen bases. He is a power speed threat, Drew Stubbs, just his 2nd year in the major leagues, and he was on a fast finish during the regular season as well from August 1st, hitting over 300. And there was a time there for Cincinnati. The Reds made a deal for Jim Edmonds, who was unable to go in the postseason with an Achilles injury. That Stubbs' playing time was in question. And just as they brought Jim Edmonds in a trade with the Milwaukee Brewers, Stubbs got hot, and it ended up being a no-brainer that Stubbs not only became the everyday center fielder down the stretch for the Reds, but also the starting center fielder for the postseason.
And can really run. And at this stage of Jim Edmonds' career, Stubbs is actually a better center fielder.
Ball and 2 strikes. And a bouncing ball out to Rollins. Hitting over. Perfect game lost. No hitter still intact. 4-0 Phillies. And it might be time to start calling your friends, because Roy Halladay has 5 no-hit innings and has some serious swing and miss stuff at this point.
His stuff is certainly not out of the question for him to maybe go 9 this way, because the way his ball is moving. What a start for him in his first postseason outing.
Halladay with 5 strikeouts. Travis Wood has come on and pitched well in relief. Edinson Volquez, speaking of swing and miss stuff, he's the guy you expect a lot of swings and misses, but just 2 swings and misses from the Phillies in Volquez inning and 2/3. It was a quick exit for the Red starter, but Wood has posted 2 scoreless innings after he got out of the mess in the 2nd. Travis Wood during the regular year, mostly in the 2nd half, a 5-4 record in 17 starts, had an earned run average at 3.51. And when you needed strikes, he's the command type pitcher that Dusty Baker called on.
He's been very impressive here.
Chase Utley and the 2-2 fouled away.
He's 23 years old too. Those Southern League numbers last year when he was the pitcher of the year in Double-A in that league, he was 9-3 with a 1.21 ERA, 121.
Now Utley was his first hitter, so he has gone through the batting order now as Utley sends one high in the air to right. Back is Bruce, shading the raindrops from his eyes, and he makes the catch for out number 1. He put his glove up. I'm saying I don't see any sun out right now, with the rain coming down on Jay Bruce.
Might have been shielded to see the shadow on his face. Might have been some lights there too that he was trying to block the glare on. Is it still raining? Because I don't see the drops.
Maybe we've found our window, Joe.
Yeah.
The weather window is here. Yeah, maybe you're right. Just shading from the lights, not the raindrops coming down. 1 gone for Ryan Howard. Howard is 0 for 2. Wood struck him out his last time up. That one's hit well. Deep center field. But the wind knocks it down. Stubbs has to make a basket catch as the wind is really picked up here.
I wondered where he was going, because from our vantage point, that ball was headed to the right side of the 401 mark. Stubbs was running to the left side of the 401 mark and realized this ball was coming back toward right center and dying, and had to make a quick adjustment. There is some wind now, starting the flags out, going across from left to right.
Now, we were here last year for game 1 against the Colorado Rockies in the division series, and the wind was blowing up to 40 miles an hour. The Phillies outfielders had no trouble, but the Rockies outfielders did. And you go back 2 years in this ballpark, the way the winds and the jet streams come across, it was the Milwaukee Brewers who struggled in the first game of the division series back in 08. Ball and a strike on Jason Worth. Count goes to 1-2. So the Phillies with 4 runs, and we got Howard and Worth combined 0 for 5 so far.
Phillies went 23-7 after September 1st to put away the division, and they did it largely without Utley and Howard being hot hitters, and they're 0 for tonight, yet they still lead 4-0.
We head to the 6th. Halladay back on the mound. Now the story right now is Roy Halladay, as Ramon Hernandez sends one in the air. Jason Worth, and one away in the 6th. So Dusty Baker will call on his bench now. Travis Wood, impressive for 3 1/3, keeping the Phillies at 4, as Juan Francisco will pinch hit for Travis Wood. One of the hardest hit balls all night was from Travis Wood, as a matter of fact. Ended up as a line drive out.
He's a good athlete. He swings the bat well. He's very fast. He's clocked at 4 flat to first base. So Travis Wood, a good accounting for himself tonight, coming into the 2nd inning.
And it's strike 1, which has been a common theme tonight for Roy Halladay. Back up the middle. Ranging over is Rollins in time. 2 away. 2 up, 2 down for Roy Halladay in the 6th inning. Don't forget Conan coming in November. Today's aerial coverage made possible by AT&T. November 8th. And a great view of Citizens Bank Park, South Philadelphia.
Beautiful. Great ballpark.
An electric atmosphere here. They sell out every day, regular season, postseason. Boy, they have something to watch this year. Plenty of stars offensively, Joe, as we talked about in the open. This is a club, the Phillies, that have won the National League East year after year, perennial contenders in the playoffs. Now they're starting to talk about a dynasty here in Philadelphia, but arguably the 3 best starting pitchers you could assemble for a postseason run. It reminds you of back in the mid-90s with the Atlanta Braves when they were rolling out John Smoltz and
very comparable.
Glavine and Maddox and even Steve Avery.
Yeah, but they kept adding people to those guys that were not necessarily compliments to them, but made the staff that much deeper.
It is Jason Worth, and it's 6 innings of no-hit ball for Roy Halladay. Can he keep it going? 4-0 Phillies. New pitcher for the Reds, Logan Ondrusek. And he inherits a 4-0 deficit here. Raul Ibanez leads off. The tall right-hander Ondrusek, 6'8".
6'8", 225 out of Shiner, Texas. And lots of cutters from this guy. 91 to 95 on his fastball, but he developed a cutter that pretty much saved his career.
Andrusek. Well, oh, he throws it away. And Ibanez on his way to second. Had an out right in front of him. Andrusek lobbed one to first base. And that'll be an error on the pitcher.
See the angst on the face of Dusty Baker here, because this gets an inning started for the Phillies. It shouldn't have. And that just was airmailed over the head of Joey Votto. Boy, that wasn't even close.
And Ramon Hernandez trying to settle down on Andrusek. Joe talked about his minor league career. So-so numbers in the minor leagues. Nothing that would indicate a major presence in the big leagues, but he found a cut fastball last year. Pitched so well this spring, made the ball club, and he's been a good middle reliever for Dusty Baker this season. Good fastball and a swing and a miss to Ruiz.
Brian, we can go back to the World Series a few years ago when Detroit's pitchers made a ton of errors, if you recall, that really hurt them in the World Series against the Cardinals. But the defense by pitchers lately has really been magnified, maybe because of that World Series. And when you look at the Reds' total errors this year, 72 errors. We told you that they were the least in the National League, tied with the Padres. Well, of those 72 errors, 12 were by their pitchers. And another one made here.
That allows Ibanez to reach to start the inning as Ruiz rolls one to Roland. Makes it look easy. And one away in the sixth inning. We check in with Matt Weiner in Atlanta. What's going on, Matt?
Hey, Brian, time for a game break presented by Bank of America. The Twins' first playoff game at Target Field. The postseason begins there tonight against the Yankees. Like so many teams, they have health concerns, including the knee of Joe Mauer, but he is slated to bat third tonight. Game one, Twins-Yankees, coming up here in primetime on TBS.
All right, Matt, thanks. And a rematch of the 09 division series. But this time around, the Twins get to host the Yankees, the wild card team in the American League. And how about the left-handers on display today in the American League Series? Earlier today, you had Cliff Lee and David Price matching up. Lee, the victory over Price in the Tampa Bay Rays. And tonight, possibly the Cy Young Award winner in the American League. It'll be a close contest with CC Sabathia and Felix Hernandez of the Mariners. But Liriano goes for Minnesota. Valdez breaks his bat, and 2 men are out as Ibanez advances to third base.
Listen to the hand building for Roy Halladay. I love that sign.
Doc Halladay. He's known as Big Roy around here. Little Roy will pitch tomorrow. Roy Oswalt, or rather Friday. And underhand this time. Not a bad idea. Andrusek makes the adjustment.
He learned.
Halladay's the headliner. 6 no-hit innings. Center stage belongs to Roy Halladay tonight. Game 1 of the NLDS. Halladay has not allowed a hit through the first 6 innings. The longest no-hit bid in the postseason since Daisuke Matsuzaka pitching for the Red Sox in 08 against the Tampa Bay Rays. He went 6 no-hit innings in the ALCS of 08.
See, and this is what makes him so tough. He starts off the inning with a real slow curveball for a called strike, and then he busts Cabrera right in on his belt buckle to keep him honest and keep him off the outside part of the plate. It's not that he just has good location, folks. It's not that he just has a good changeup. He throws hard too. He's been around 93, 94 all night with movement.
Orlando Cabrera is 0 for 2 with a strikeout. Halladay with 5 strikeouts so far tonight. And the 1-2 fouled away. Howard will give it a look. That'll end up in the seats.
Charlie Manuel told us today in our pregame meeting with him that he calls Roy Halladay a big Greg Maddux. He said he's bigger, stronger, and throws a little harder, but he said he pitches the same way and with the same effectiveness, in, out, up, down, and throws strikes with all his pitches. I thought that was a tremendous compliment.
No, Halladay drastically changed his pitching style. As a member of the Toronto Blue Jays, he was up in the late 90s. Actually, his first major league game, he took a no-hitter into the 9th inning, but that was by a pitcher who threw over the top. Halladay had to go back to the minor leagues in 01 and develop what you're seeing here today. More hunched over, hiding pitches, throwing the splitter, the hard curve, the changeup, the fastball that moves in different directions. Because over the top, he couldn't keep that consistency, couldn't stay on top of the baseball. It was actually Buck Martinez, our colleague, who was the manager of the Blue Jays at the time. He and Mark Connor shipped Halladay down to Dunedin, where he could work on this new pitching style. And it was really Mel Queen.
Mel Queen, yeah.
Mel Queen who got Halladay to the release point where he's at now, the 3/4 release point. A 3-2 count. And a bouncer out to Utley. Got him.
Only his 3rd 3-ball count of the night.
And now let's look at tonight's Blackberry Torch Stat Summary. As you see, the Cincinnati Reds, or some of the Reds, in the on-base percentage leaders, Joey Votto, 424. #1 in the league. Votto hit .324 this year, 2nd best batting average in the National League. He was 3rd in home runs, and he was 3rd in runs batted in. And for a good part of the summer, he was putting up a serious challenge to a triple crown in the National League.
Votto stepped out on him. Not a bad idea to try to break his rhythm a little bit.
Votto a couple of ground outs against Halladay tonight. Strike.
Roy Halladay's not finished reinventing himself either, Brian, because when he came to the Phillies, Rich Doobie suggested he change his grip on his changeup and went to the split finger grip on his change, and that's helped him.
Yeah, you can't blame Votto at this point.
No, don't blame him at all.
Anything it takes to try to disrupt this rhythm of Roy Halladay, which will only rev up these fanatic fans here in Philadelphia. Over to third. Here's Valdez. In time, 2 away in the 7th inning. And the ground balls keep coming.
From all different angles, all different types of pitches. He will change his arm slot just a little bit for some right-handers at times to get them maybe to buckle their knees some if he's going to throw a slider. He doesn't do it necessarily to lefties, but he will drop down a little bit more on right-handers.
Sounds like Scott Rowland's turn to hit.
Yeah.
Strike 1 all night. Rowland has struck out twice. Argued a call in the 5th inning. Oh, 2.
And got a high strike call. 19 out of 22 first pitch strikes.
The only blemish, a walk in the 5th inning. The 0-2 to Rolen. Just got a piece. Now the closest thing to a hit came off the bat of the pitcher, Travis Wood. Back in the 3rd inning, hit a line drive out to Jason Worth.
Look at that sinker. What a pitch. That was at 93. Wasn't trying to throw a strike with it, just make it look like a strike coming up there. So Rolen would offer, and he did. And then it sinks out of the zone. Not anything you could do with that pitch except foul it off. I want to show you something here. Right there. See the glove on the ground? That's what Ruiz wanted. He wanted him to bounce it, and he did exactly what his catcher wanted.
See what he has in mind here. Ball and 2 strikes on Rolen. And they'll ask if he went. No, he didn't. Bruce Dreckman says he checked his swing. And
nice.
A good call.
He stopped it.
So 2-2. 2 out, 7th inning. Got him. Roy Halladay, 7 no-hit innings. And you better believe it is Doctober time here in Philadelphia. Four to nothing Phillies. The story is Halladay. He has not allowed a hit through 7 innings. And he is 6 outs away from a no-hitter. The only blemish today for Roy Halladay was a 2-out walk to Jay Bruce. Otherwise, he's been perfect.
The only hard hit balls really all night have come from the 9th spot in the order. Travis Wood, the pitcher, lined to right, and the pinch hitter, Juan Francisco, hit a sharp grounder back through the box that almost got through into center field, but Jimmy Rollins made a good play on it. Travis Wood, by the way, did a great job coming in the 2nd inning with runners aboard, getting out of that, and then blanking the Phillies over the next 3 innings. 3 and a third innings of 1-hit shutout ball.
Now Volquez, an inning and 2/3, struggled here tonight in his first start in the postseason. Dusty Baker wanting to go with the power. He wanted to go with the plus stuff of Edinson Volquez against these Philadelphia Phillies. And it did not work out well for Baker and the Reds at this point. But Wood and Andrusek have kept the Reds in the game somewhat. But right now, it is a long hill to climb for the Cincinnati Reds against Roy Halladay. Top of the order for the Phillies. They try to tack on here in the bottom of the 7th inning. Andrusek committed an error in the 6th inning, but then 3 ground ball outs. And when he's right, that's exactly what you'll get. Well, Cincinnati feels very strongly about their young pitching. You've seen Wood tonight, Logan Andrusek, a couple of rookies. And a breaking ball, and Rollins able to check his swing. The Reds' most playoff experienced pitcher is Bronson Arroyo, and he'll get the ball Friday against Roy Oswalt.
With respect to Roy Halladay, it's one of those things where you always know he's capable of having no-hit stuff when he goes out there. He's that good on any given night. I just never expected in his first postseason appearance for him to come out and dominate this lineup.
Cabrera will run it down in the grass, and Jimmy Rollins is retired. Well, fans, if you want to hear the biggest names in sports broadcasting, think about the hot topics in their sports. Check out Behind the Mic, presented by Allstate, exclusively on SI.com. Over 46,000 on hand tonight at Citizens Bank Park as we kick off the 2010 postseason. Rangers beating the Tampa Bay Rays earlier today. Cliff Lee, a Philly last year and a star in the postseason for the Philadelphia Phillies, picked up the win for Texas earlier today. And in the middle game of our triple header, it's Roy Halladay.
Shane Victorino with hits in the first and second inning that were part of the rallies in the first and second. The last two division series, 08 against Milwaukee, he hit .357. Last year against Colorado, he hit .353. He's off to a good start this year.
Now Victorino with that one-out double in the first inning quickly stole third base, and that kind of set the table for the night, at least in the early going, as Victorino takes a strike. And it was a long battle between Victorino and Edinson Volquez in the second inning. Won by Victorino with that two-out RBI single, drove in a pair of runs. By the way, for Volquez, the shortest outing in a postseason since Hiroki Kuroda, lasted an inning and a third for the Dodgers against, guess who? The Phillies last year. That was in Game 3 of the NLCS. So the Phils chase another one early here tonight as Victorino skies one. Joey Votto wants it.
Almost squeezed it out. But the bullpen for the Reds has done exactly what it needed to do, and that's hold the Phillies off, hoping the offense could come back and mount a charge against Halladay. He just hasn't cooperated.
Well, with Chase Utley coming up, a lefty, Dusty Baker will go to another left-hander in that bullpen. Bill Bray loosening, and we'll have a pitching change here. So 2 outs in the Philadelphia 7th. 4-0 Phillies. Will set up Bill Bray when we come back.
Back in Philadelphia, where Roy Halladay at age 33 is showing what he can do in his postseason debut. He said yesterday that he really liked being in Toronto. He loved pitching for the Blue Jays and for their fans. But he was growing concerned that at this stage of his career, he would never get an opportunity to show what he could do in a postseason. He said that he had a limited window of time and that he had to make the most out of every opportunity he had going forward. He wanted to come to Philadelphia. He wanted to come to the Phillies because he liked this organization, and he knew this organization with its veteran players would have a chance to compete for a championship. He actually said that if he hadn't been traded to Philadelphia, he may well have stayed in Toronto this year and then explored free agency over the offseason. Brian, I think he's done pretty well in his first playoff experience.
Well, no doubt about that, and reminiscent of Cliff Lee, even better than Cliff Lee a season ago. And remember, the Blue Jays still paying the freight for Roy Halladay this year. His extension kicks in next season, so he signed a long-term deal with the Philadelphia Phillies. And what a ride it looks like it's going to be for Phillies fans with Halladay on the mound. Now the Phillies with 2 outs, and it's Bill Bray out of Dusty Baker's bullpen to face Chase Utley with 2 outs and nobody on. And Bill Bray, one of 4 lefties that Dusty Baker can call on. The one we're all anxious to see, Joe, excuse me, is Aroldis Chapman.
Yeah, I'm anxious to see that fireballer. This guy's pretty much a slider machine against left-handed hitters. Not overpowering. His fastball in the high 80s generally.
Right back to him. Nice play. And Bray is out of the inning. So it's back on Roy watch. 6 outs away from a no-hitter in Game 1 of the NLDS. Stay with us. Well, the Philadelphia Phillies have had 10 no-hitters in their history, including Roy Halladay's perfect game against the Florida Marlins on May 29th in Miami.
Struck out 11 on that occasion. Just a brilliant performance, but honestly, Brian, I don't know that his stuff's any better than it is tonight. He has been brilliant tonight.
Johnny Gomes leads off for the Reds.
Everything from a 94 fastball to a 79 changeup, speed-wise, and everything in between with his cutter And slider. Well, a breaking ball.
Well, 1968 is officially known as the year of the pitcher. This was kind of the reincarnation of the year of the pitcher with 5 no-hitters this year. Halladay with one of 2 perfect games this season. And down goes Gomes. They'll have to secure it at first. No problem. 5 outs away from a no-hitter.
7 strikeouts. Big breaking ball there. Got him. And he's had 9 0-2 counts tonight, Brian. That is just dominating. Unbelievable.
Here's Jay Bruce, the only base runner of the night against Roy Halladay. He walked back in the 5th. Halladay's got it. 4 outs away. 2 up, 2 down in the 8th. Well, the longest no-hitter since Jim Longborg of the Boston Red Sox went 7 2/3 against the St. Louis Cardinals. That was in Game 2 of the '67 World Series. Of course, the last no-hitter in postseason play, Don Larson, the most famous of the no-hitters. That was in '56. Halladay 4 outs away. 2 gone in the 8th. Here's Stubbs. Strike.
And still peppering that fastball in at 93. Again, a workhorse. 9 complete games this year. Led the league in that category. Led in innings pitched, 250 plus innings. He's only thrown 93 pitches.
And if you're just joining us, you're here at just the right time. Roy Halladay, 8 no-hit innings. We'd love to show you Roy Halladay in the dugout, but talk about being iced. He ices himself. He goes underneath into the clubhouse. That's his normal routine, though. Yeah. He makes it easy on the rest of the players.
He may be working out. I mean, this guy is so dedicated to his regimen between starts. He may be getting a head start on that somewhere.
So it's Bill Bray back on the mound to face Ryan Howard. Yeah, the right-hander next in Jason Worth, then the lefty Ibanez. And one would speculate if Dusty Baker wants to, with the day off tomorrow, get some of these young pitchers in a game, we might see Aroldis Chapman to face Raul Ibanez. We'll have to wait and see. Now, Dusty normally doesn't like to use Chapman in the middle of an inning. Likes him to start an inning. But Dusty Baker told us earlier today he would love to get him out there as soon as possible to get his first taste of the postseason.
Well, their bullpen has done a terrific job so far. Wood, Ondrusik, and Bill Bray got 1 out last inning.
Nick Massett getting ready for Jason Worth. Phillies got a run in the first, 3 in the second. One of those driven in by Roy Halladay. He swung at the first pitch he saw from Edinson Volquez and drove in the second Philadelphia run.
Ambushed a fastball and hit it hard.
Got him. Howard is rung up. So Bill Bray with a strikeout, his first.
With the lead and with what's going on, not too much of an argument from Ryan Howard, but he thought that was inside. Looked like a good call from John Hirschbeck, and it was.
And after that strikeout, Bill Bray will stay. Worth is 0 for 3, couple of strikeouts here tonight. Ryan Howard and Jason Worth combined 0 for 7 in this game. The Phillies have had just one base runner since the 4th inning, and that was on an error by Andrusik as Bruce makes the catch. 2 outs, 2 up, 2 down for Brave. And now let's take a look at tonight's Nissan game summary. Edinson Volquez started with an inning and 2/3, chased early, and it was all a 2-out rally by the Phillies in that 3-run second inning. Roy Halladay, 8 innings of no-hit baseball.
It's about all you need to know right there. And he's doing it against the best hitting team in the National League in terms of the numbers this year.
What is a strange feeling here at Citizens Bank Park. Normally, Phillies fans want to see offense. They want to see hits, home runs. It kind of feels like they're ready to get this inning over with. They want an out so they can put Roy Halladay back in the middle.
Well, their offense has been the focal point of their ball club the last 3 years in the postseason. Yes, they've had good pitching, got great pitching from Hamels, for example, in their drive to the World Series 2 years ago. Last year they had Hamels and Lee and Moyer and Blanton. They had a nice collection. Hamels not as good last year as he was in '08. But now, different story with their 3 aces at the top of their rotation. Oswalt and Hamels having a good time over there.
2 of the 3 as the H2O, as they're known here in Philadelphia. Halladay, Hamels, and Oswalt. Ibanez. Orlando Cabrera will settle, make the catch, and here we go to the 9th. Roy Halladay 3 outs away from a no-hitter in the postseason. 4-0 the Phillies. The story, Roy Halladay, and history on the line here in Philadelphia. All zeros. 8 no-hit innings for Halladay at his first postseason start. Don Larson, he's looking for some company here tonight. Game 5 of the '56 World Series through the perfect game, beating the Brooklyn Dodgers. Strike 1. That has been the story all night for Halladay as he gets ahead of Ramon Hernandez in the 9th.
Big shocker there, getting ahead in the count. Only 3 3-ball counts all night.
In the air, Chase Utley. Nothing is routine at this point. Utley makes the catch. 1 gone.
The only thing standing right now between Halladay and another perfect game was a walk back in the 5th inning.
And everybody is nervous here. Halladay, all of the position players, the umpires. With the pitcher spot coming up, Dusty Baker will send Miguel Cairo, a Philly last year, to the plate to pinch hit.
Well, another comfort for Roy Halladay is knowing how good his defense is behind him. He doesn't mind if they put it in play. He's very confident in the guys, especially on the infield, playing behind him. Cairo, a line drive guy. He'll inside out the ball. He likes to go to right field and up the middle.
Well, in the history of Major League Baseball, there have been 4 pitchers to throw 2 no-hitters in the same season, at least 2. Nolan Ryan is the last, 1973 with the Angels. Strike. 1-2 on Cairo.
He's had perfect control of all his pitches tonight against the best hitting team in the National League, and he has dazzled them. They've tried stepping out on him, waiting him out. Nothing has thrown Roy Halladay off his game tonight.
Pitch number 100 on the way from Halladay. In the air. Over is Valdez with room. 2 outs. The Reds' last hope, Brandon Phillips. And one more piece to the puzzle for Roy Halladay.
And he's a first pitch ambush hitter if he delivers a fastball strike.
Gave him a fastball. Phillips took it.
Probably the best pitch he will get to hit this at bat.
Halladay struck him out in the 4th.
Can't even begin to tell you how loud it is here, folks.
Halladay is 1 strike away. The 0-2. A bouncer. Ruiz. In time! Roy Halladay has thrown a no-hitter. The ace of aces, Roy Halladay, a postseason no-hitter. The first since 1956, Don Larson of the Yankees. He's got company now after 11 years waiting for a postseason start. He gets it tonight, and he delivers his best start of his career. A no-hitter in the playoffs for Roy Halladay. What a moment here in Philadelphia.
Yeah, welcome to the postseason, Roy. And the last out, even though it was only about a 7 or 8 footer, was a tricky one.
A masterpiece. An absolute masterpiece here in Philadelphia. 1 walk. It was a Jay Bruce 2-out walk. The difference between a perfect game for Roy Halladay. We send it down to David Aldrich.
Roy Halladay, this was an interesting way to make your postseason debut. What wasn't working? I mean, it looked like everything was working tonight.
Yeah, I felt like we got in a groove early. You know, Carlos has been great all year, but you know, he helps me get in a rhythm, you know, throwing a lot of pitches for strikes, getting ahead, and then later in the game, mixed pitches well, mixed speeds well. So, you know, he's done a great job for me, just trying to be aggressive.
The last out of the game, obviously your emotions are in there. You're trying to win the playoff game, obviously, but what'd you do there?
Well, yeah, it's, you know, winning the game comes first and foremost, and, you know, in atmospheres like this, it's you know, easy to focus on that. And, you know, it's just, it's been a great place to play all year, and, you know, looking forward to continuing here.
You said that you wanted to come here because this team had an opportunity to compete for a championship. What is the emotion going through your mind right now?
This is, you know, this is what you come here for. You know, it's a good team. They know how to win. And, you know, you come in, you try and chip in, be a part of it. And you know, it's been a great year. It's been a fun year. And like I said, we obviously have a ways to go. But, you know, it's a veteran team that knows how to win. I can't say enough about them.
You know, Robin Roberts was the last 20-game right-handed winner for this team. He wanted to meet you before he passed away. You're now part of that legacy. Don Larson, the last pitcher to throw a no-hitter in the postseason. What are your feelings about joining that group?
It's surreal. I mean, it really is. You know, I just wanted to pitch here, pitch in the postseason. And, you know, to be able to go out and have a game like that, you know, it's a dream come true.
Pretty good year for you so far. Congratulations, Roy.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Back to you, Brian.
Well, Joe, the calmest guy in the ballpark is the guy who just threw a no-hitter in the postseason, Roy Halladay. He's still in command.
Yeah, I bet if you took his pulse even in the 9th inning, it was under the radar. Just magnificent. But again, even the last out, that ball rolled out in front of the plate and actually hit the bat that Brandon Phillips had laid down. And it took a second for Carlos Ruiz to realize or how he was going to play this. The ball rolled up right up to the bat, and Carlos actually overran it and had to make the throw from his knees. It was not an easy play, even though it was only about a 7-footer because of the bat. But the catcher who had helped him all night long made the last play for him.
11 no-hitters in Philadelphia history. Oswalt and Hamels, the other two in the H2O.
No pressure on Roy on Friday, huh?
Yeah, how do you follow that up? So Nolan Ryan, the last to throw 2 no-hitters in the major leagues in the same season until Halladay tonight. Virgil Trucks in 52 with the Tigers. Allie Reynolds did it with the Yankees in 51. And it was a Cincinnati Red who did it for the first time, Johnny Vandermeer, in consecutive games for the Cincinnati Reds in 1938. And now Roy Halladay, a no-hitter in the postseason.